Lockdown is a new dramedy heist film, if you could call it that, that recently was released on HBO Max. It's an HBO Max exclusive, directed by Doug Liman? Lyman? I want to say Lyman, even though I know that's not the way to pronounce it, but I just feel like it for this video. Stars Anne Hathaway and Chiwetel Ejiofor, and there's also some surprise cameos that pop up in this movie. I won't spoil what they are, but you might see an actor or actress here or there. You'll be like, hey, I've seen you before and I know you, and damn, I didn't know you were gonna be in this movie. The premise of this story is Anne Hathaway and Chiwetel Ejiofor play a couple who have been together for a long time, but are finally going their separate ways. They are separating, they're breaking up, they no longer wanna be together. Fortunately, they can't physically separate yet because of the coronavirus, and the lockdown procedures in London force them to stay at home, and they can't leave their house. Kind of stuck living together throughout the situation, and then I guess their jobs kind of overlap one day, and they get the idea to pull off some kind of a heist. Right off the bat, I have mixed feelings, because the idea of a movie that has the coronavirus as a central part of its story, or at least a big thing that kicks off its story, does make me feel like it's a little bit exploitative. It's kind of like, well, I don't know if we should be making coronavirus movies while there's a coronavirus going on and still killing people and affecting hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. Part of me is kind of like, it's tone deaf and it's kind of gross, but then the other part of me is like, you know what? They have to adjust and adapt to the world around them. So some part of me is kind of on board with the concept and the premise, because I'm like, well, if this is how we're gonna have to film movies and this is how we're gonna have to shoot movies and make movies while this pandemic is ongoing, I don't know, let's see if there's some ingenuity involved. Let's see if there's some creativity. Let's see if we can get something out of this. Considering the limitations of everything involved, I thought it looked good. I thought it was a gorgeous looking movie. It was well shot, and I like what he did with the camera in this movie. The way he's able to block and film his scenes and have actors going from room to room and showing different perspectives, different angles on what their life is like living with this virus, I thought all of that was handled pretty well. So kudos to the movie as far as how good it looks. I'm a big fan of Anne Hathaway. I think she's spectacular. I think she's a whole snack, but I also think that she's a spectacular actress. Chiwetel Ejiofor, I've always had respect for this guy. This guy's been in so many different movies at this point. Consistent, he always brings it, no matter how good or bad the movie is. I gotta show love for him too, and both of them really are doing their best with the material that they're given in this film. They have a lot of dramatic scenes where they have to bring a lot of emotion, where they have to talk a lot. There are monologues, there's a lot of exposition, but exposition that's really more about their lives. Both of them definitely reflect some of the craziness and the manic depravity that has resulted from people being locked inside for too long. If the goal was to show how a pandemic could possibly push people away, but also maybe bring them closer together, I guess the movie sort of succeeded with that. I did not really enjoy this movie that much. I didn't hate the movie, I thought it was fine, but I definitely walked away feeling like, okay, I kind of wasted my time here. My main complaint with this movie is the pacing and how this film is all put together in terms of its story progression and the structure of the story as a whole. Dog, this movie did not need to be 2 hours long. Like, this movie is nearly 2 hours long, and I would say that the story is stuck in mud for like 80% of it. I shit you not, for like over the first hour of this movie, it's nothing but endless scenes of Anne Hathaway or Chiwetel Ejiofor venting about shit or being passive aggressive with each other, yelling at stuff, going on these huge long monologues and rants about stuff, talking insanely fast. And the other parts of the movie are just filled with Zoom calls and a bunch of jokes that really don't land. In fact, a lot of the comedy in this film falls flat. Could have been fun in kind of like an escapist entertainment type of way, where there's a heist movie during a pandemic and we're just supposed to try to forget about things and have fun, but unfortunately you're just kind of bored watching these two people argue and fight and fuss and complain about life for like over an hour in this movie. Can't even really call this movie a heist movie. The heist is such a tacked on afterthought that means nothing in the grand scheme of things. The heist feels like it's that extra thing that the writers are like, oh shit, we don't have a third act. Well, let's just have them steal something, I guess, and that's how we'll close the movie off. I'm not gonna spoil anything about the heist in this movie, but calling it a heist is disrespectful. Like, they basically just walk through a department store. This movie fails to really bring resonance or importance to the situation of the coronavirus in the first place and why this lockdown is in order. Like, it treats the coronavirus as this background thing instead of actually focusing on it and actually bringing relevance to it. Throughout the film, most of the characters treat the coronavirus like it's this annoying inconvenience or whatever, instead of actually making people realize how serious and how important this issue is. I'm not saying the movie needed to get up on its high horse and preach to us about the importance of pandemic safety, but damn, they could have at least made the situation feel a little bit more real. Lockdown was an okay movie, but I wasn't a huge fan. I'm gonna leave this one in the fortress of solitude. Tell me, what is your favorite new movie or TV show that you have picked up watching during the pandemic? Let me know what that is in the comment section down below. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show, and as always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.